They are men who are considered so difficult to control, so dangerous, that they've been sent to super maximum security at Archambault Penitentiary near Montreal. Sainte-Anne-des-Plaines, Quebec, just north of Montreal. A special prison for special prisoners. Some of Canada's most notorious are here. Like Clifford Olson, he murdered 11 children. Alan Legere, known as the monster of the Miramichi, he murdered 5 people. In the Canadian prison system, this is the end of the line. It's beyond maximum. It's supermax, the special handling unit, known as the SHU, the prison for inmates who are too tough, too violent, and too hot to handle in regular prisons.
All you fucking junkie fucking motherfuckers can't even do shit!
On this day, the prison routine has been disturbed. One of the inmates has been attacked.
The fucking stab a guy and you can't even fucking hurt him!
2 prisoners were in the exercise yard. Quebec provincial police have been called in to investigate. One prisoner stabbed the other 9 times. He couldn't have been planning to get away with it because the courtyard is under video surveillance.
Why is the guy in the SHU?
Inmate Kevin DeRucci says the stabbing was no surprise to other inmates of the Special Handling Unit, the SHU.
The guy's in the SHU for raping other inmates, okay? Transvestites. He's in a population block. He's from protective custody. Of course he's gonna get stabbed.
Crime is not supposed to happen inside here. There are 82 men from across Canada housed here in the Special Handling Unit. About a third of those are convicted murderers. But they're not here because of the murders they committed. They're here because they either attacked another inmate, they attacked a guard, or they tried to escape from a regular prison. Except for the time they spend alone in their cells, they are watched all the time, in their cell blocks or by security cameras monitoring the common rooms where they can meet for a short period of time each day with up to 8 other inmates. In the Canadian prison system, this is as tough as security gets. The question is it too tough? Cameras see and record everything. The flashing yellow boxes draw the guards' attention to movement. Armed guards watch the men in the rooms. If there is a disturbance, they yell a warning. Then, fire a warning shot or drop in a canister of gas. There are reinforcements in the central control room, where all the doors can be locked by remote control and every public area can be seen directly. It's kept dark, so the guards can see out, but the prisoners can't see in. Inmates are never in the presence of prison staff without handcuffs. Inmates who are moved are escorted by 2 guards, unarmed, for fear of a weapon being seized. This man has a medical problem. Watch how he's given his medication by the nurse. There is no video surveillance in the cells, but guards search the cells when they suspect something, and even when they don't, they go in at random and check everything. Inmates can buy televisions, stereos, and electronic games. Here's Kevin DeRucci again. He's going to school. DeRucci committed a number of crimes, including robbery. He's in the SHU for an assault in prison.
On page 13. Okay, there's a brainstorming there.
Chances are you've never seen a school like this one.
Okay, so read the text.
The teaching is secondary to the security.
We have to take care not to put our head or ears too much near the the slot there, because if somebody is angry with us, he could, give us a pencil, use a pencil as a pick or something.
These courses and others in anger management and substance abuse are at the core of the issue here. Can anybody improve themselves in this environment?
Who tells me
Jason Gallant, convicted of murdering 3 prison guards during a riot.
I have to turn around, get undressed, turn around, and bend over. And then the next day, the day before I saw them upside down between my legs, now they want me to sit in front of them and have them trust the development of my mind to them, to teach me how to be a good human being when they have so violated the citadel of my character.
The SHU is a correctional disaster.
Professor Michael Jackson has been studying Canada's special handling units for more than 20 years.
It's you against not just the staff at the special handling unit, it's you against the world. And you have to fight for survival. And it's dysfunctional, because when you leave there, you're still fighting. You're not a better person, you're a tougher person, you're a more callous person, and the prisoners themselves recognize that that's a terrible loss. And what do they gain? What do we gain? I can't think of anything.
Living in cells like these, in an institution like this, is supposed to help reform an inmate so he can return to regular maximum security prison and then eventually through the prison system to freedom. But in fact, there are some times when an inmate is released directly from here out onto the street. Inmate Kevin DeRucci had that happen to him the last time he got out.
It's from one extreme to the next. 1 minute I'm caged up like an animal for years, and the next minute I'm out there. You know what I mean? And I'm supposed to be able to function. It can't be done. I tried.
It's not appropriate, and I'm dead against it.
The warden of the special handling unit is Marc Artur Hippolyte.
I don't believe in releasing offenders called Turkey into the community. I think we have the capacity of taking appropriate measures as a maximum security institution to control that behavior and prepare the inmate gradually.
Are you still taking the methadone, you fuck?
But what to do with people like this? The men who are in the special handling unit have problems with anger, problems relating to other people, problems related to problem solving. They've murdered people. They've attacked prison guards. This particular series of outbursts is because men who are not normally near each other have been put into neighboring cells. And if the wrong guys get in the same room, they do try to kill each other.
You won't even see it when it's coming, you fucking piece of shit.
Even here, under the tightest security, they manage to make weapons they call shivs or shanks. Kevin DeRucci used a shank to attack another inmate.
Like this person here who I eventually ended up assaulting, threatened my life. Threatened my life. Right in court, I'm going to kill you. All over the joint, telling everybody, as soon as I get my hands on him, I'm going to kill him. Guy's a psychopathic killer. He's a punk. He had no fucking heart. Oh, sorry. He had no heart or nothing, and I got him first. You know what I mean?
He felt he had to do that.
Or he was getting me, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
What happened to him?
I stabbed him 2 times. He's in a medium security now, and I never got back to me. I've been a maximum ever since. Well, super maximum and maximum.
The inmates we spoke to in the special handling unit feel Canadians should know about the conditions there and that they should improve them.
I think I'm a man that has some integrity and some dignity. And I find their approach to dealing with, I'll limit it to myself, their approach to dealing with me is appealing to my fear of reprisal rather than my humanity.
I'm here for punishment. There's nothing being accomplished here. It's just a very angry place.
We have committed crimes and we are wrong and we must be punished. That's obvious. Nobody's denying that. But we don't got to be abused. You know what I mean? We don't have to be treated worse than animals. We don't have to be treated like garbage. You know what I mean? And just because we are human beings, there's always the possibility that something good might come out of each and every one of us.
Some of you may remember the unforgettable images of the end of a disturbance at P4W, the old prison for women in Kingston. That prison was shut down shortly after Canadians first saw the pictures, which left the Corrections Service trying to figure out what to do with maximum security female inmates. The solution, housing them in male institutions, has stirred white-hot controversy. Here's what Anna Maria Tremonti found at the Saskatchewan Penitentiary in Prince Albert.
Male staff in range.
The rattle of the keys signals the start of another day for the maximum security women living inside the Saskatchewan Penitentiary for men. The space is cramped. Groups of 4 cells open onto what's just a larger cell.
I'll make a coffee.
There are violent maximum security women, but Corrections Canada has been criticized for including women with mental health problems in maximum. And it is perhaps telling that this women's prison used to be the men's psychiatric unit.
I'm not getting anything. I'm just sitting here existing, just to exist.
Suzanne wants to adjust to real life. Sandy's adjusted to this life.
I adapted in prison like an animal adapts to the forest.
And Tammy keeps trying and failing to change.
I have to take responsibility. I accept responsibility for the things that I do wrong.
If prison is to punish and rehabilitate, the logic behind this particular prison is to buy time. There was no place for maximum security female prisoners in the West, and so they brought them here, temporarily. That was 6 years ago, and they are still here. 15 women now, most of them native, in one little corner of a prison for more than 500 men. Canada's corrections investigator has called their conditions unacceptable and discriminatory. Women isolated from society because of their crimes are even further isolated by the very system that is supposed to be preparing them to eventually re-enter their communities.
Tell me a little bit about your room.
Well, I have my pictures over here, my families, my mother and my sister and my brother. I have my common law, all pictures all here. These are the cards that she sends me.
Suzanne Leclerc appears a jumble of contradictions with a desperate little girl voice and a tough outward appearance. She came here from medium security prison in Kitchener 2 months ago. This is her second stint in prison. The first lasted 7 years. This time she's in for assault. She's got heroin and cocaine problems. Her cell, even with the homey touches, reminds her here she's nothing.
No, it's not home.
What is it?
It's a hole in the wall. Every morning I get up and I wait for nighttime to go back to sleep. That's all there is. Yeah. And it's mentally really disturbing me. I can't function like this. You know, and then you wonder why I get so depressed.
Did you used to hurt yourself?
Yes. Yeah.
What did you do?
I used to slash. There was so much pain inside me, so much bitterness, and didn't know how to take it out. I didn't know what to do. So I started slashing my arms.
You want to show me? Those are all the scars, huh?
Yeah, those are the scars. And here is where I stabbed myself.
That wasn't very long ago.
No. About 2 months ago. Yeah.
You don't want to do that anymore, do you?
No.
This is my room that I'll be living in. I just got out of segregation and I have to organize it. wash the walls.
There's an impatience about Sandy Pequation. She's been in prison 23 years, since she was 18. She was first locked up for armed robbery, then murder. She helped an inmate kill herself, and for that she got life. She ends up in segregation a lot because she lashes out. The walls close in on her.
Pardon me?
Do you think of it as your home?
Yeah, it's got to be your home when you're doing a long time like that. So yeah, it is my home. I get angry very easy, and probably because I get violent at times. Yeah, it makes me feel really closed in, like there's nowhere to go. You're stuck on this a 4-cell unit all day long, a little shower. This is how small it is, and we're stuck here like 24 hours in a whole day.
Tammy Pepin was an accessory to the murder of an inmate. She's across the hall in protective custody. Like the other two, Tammy did time at what was once Canada's only federal prison for women in Kingston, Ontario. The notorious P4W stands empty now, shut down after a scandal that shocked the nation. After women were strip-searched and humiliated by male guards, Ottawa appointed Louise Arbour, now a Supreme Court judge, to investigate. Her report led to the transfer of all women to less restrictive institutions. But after several violent outbreaks, some women were sent to more secure male prisons. Even the Deputy Commissioner for Women, Nancy Stapleforth, admits it's not the scenario she would have chosen.
I'm not going to suggest that it's an ideal situation that we currently have. Those units, when those units were opened, it was the option that was available to us. We simply did not have totally in women's facilities the right type or the amount of maximum security cell space that we required to safely house the women.
The warden of the Saskatchewan Penitentiary, Brenda LePage, acknowledges the dilemma of locking a small group of women into a prison made for so many men.
You're having to do corrections in a very closed environment with women who have a propensity to get on each other's nerves, to be assaultive, to not cope with emotions well. So by putting them in a very restrictive, small environment, at times you exacerbate those problems.
Sandy's known prison now longer than life on the outside. She experienced the brutality that forced the old prison for women in Kingston to close, but she actually preferred it there.
They weren't treating us well, right? But what I'm trying to say is, yeah, I know they weren't treating us well, whatever. I'm talking about how big the prison was. We had a gym, we had all this stuff. Now, if we could just bring the prison and put it wherever and start all over again, it would probably be okay.
The violence that was to be curbed by putting women in this more secure men's prison merely followed them here. There may be only 15 women in the Saskatchewan pen, but in the past year there have been 3 hostage takings and a suicide.
I think it suggests that there's ongoing problems. They've certainly been given a lot of intervention. I think most of them, they haven't gotten to the point where they're truly engaged and learning and internalizing what we're offering them.
The only time women here see a larger space is when they attend one of the very few programs on offer. The issue of productive scheduled activity is critical. Corrections Canada has come under repeated criticism for its lack of treatment and learning programs for women.
I have to do 200 mittens for the main kitchen.
To sew, Tammy goes to the Men's Vocational Centre, but venturing this close to male inmates can be unnerving. She, like 85% of women in prison, has a history of male sexual abuse.
I have a hard time with male. There's that fear in me still, and it's hard sometimes for me.
Tammy also sees the native elder. Dyla Houle comes to the penitentiary every day. The kind of spiritual guidance she offers is considered crucial. There's a disproportionately high number of Aboriginal prisoners in Canada. Of the 15 women here at the Max, 12 are native. With Tammy, they deal with the ongoing anguish of past sexual abuse.
It's been hard for me being here, like in a male institution. I get very uncomfortable when I go through the dome and through because I'm working on a lot of my sexual abuse issues, and it traumatizes me a lot. Diamonds.
Neither Suzanne nor Sandy have programs to go to. That's a problem for Suzanne. She gets out in November, and she wants individual counseling. They've each done group activities before. Now Sandy tries to control her anger on her own. She hasn't seen a counselor in a year.
There's really nothing in a whole day that keeps you busy except sitting here and playing cards, or it reminds me awaiting trial. This reminds me when you're waiting trial.
If I don't get the help I need, I'm afraid that I will go back into the crime life. That's all I know. Nobody's teaching me any other way.
To my knowledge, programming is available. Different women choose to participate in different ways, and it may certainly be the case that, that some women may feel that the interventions that they particularly want, or the way they'd like it to be delivered, isn't available to them.
3 times a day, inmates are warned to get to their cells to be counted. Tammy knows the drill, and today she automatically complies. She's trying to be a model prisoner. Her behavior is constantly monitored, and her only hope of getting out of maximum is to follow the rules. Lisa Barton is one of the favorite guards here. She never walks the range without being aware of the potential for trouble with a prisoner. Still, she knows some of these women will one day be on the outside, and she believes her job is to be supportive and encouraging here on the inside.
I'm supposed to go to the library. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, you'll probably go there. That's this afternoon?
I think so, yeah.
Or is it this evening?
I think it's... No, I go with the teacher, I think.
Oh, okay.
But if not, I'll be going back to Clark Kent.
Because it's such a small unit that you're constantly interacting with them, you're constantly talking to them, and women have far more needs, and women are I mean, this sounds really, but women sort of have to have control of their lives, and just they sometimes fight it at the wrong time and to take control, and that's where we come in and we try to empower them and give them choices to make in their lives, and it may not be 2 choices they like, but it's still choices.
The prison nurse is told Suzanne has a problem.
Come here, Leclerc.
I can't have to lay down. The pain's severe.
What's the matter, Leclerc?
I get this sharp pain in here. It just started it was just mild this morning when I woke up.
Suzanne appears to be in a constant state of panic. Her immediate health concerns are addressed, but her drug addiction is not.
I'll get them to bring you over and I'll do an assessment.
Okay.
Yes, I still have cravings.
What do you do?
I walk around, I try to keep busy, but I mean, if there was anything in here, believe me, I'd be the first to take it. If there's anything on that table, I've asked for help, and they wouldn't give it to me,
So I want to understand. You're not getting any kind of a drug treatment program?
No.
You're not getting any kind of psychiatric care or counseling?
No.
There is a group counseling session for female inmates with addictions. The women are escorted from their corner of the penitentiary to the men's area. You can see the male prisoners close by watching them. We're told the women's program began as we arrived to do our story.
We're going to be spending the next about 2 months, just under 2 months, talking about drugs.
Many of the women in this prison are on prescribed medication, antidepressants, relaxants. Their biggest health risks are related to their addictions, HIV, hepatitis C.
What we can do is somewhat limited. We do have, extensive programs to try and deal with drug abuse and substance abuse issues in our institution. We have substance abuse programs. We do try and keep drugs and alcohol out of our facilities.
Male on range.
Tammy's cell is empty. She's been put in segregation. She's not a model inmate yet. Madam Justice Louise Arbour's former commission recommended segregation fall under judicial review.
73 to 71, I'm on my way off the range right now.
Corrections Canada never agreed. Another reminder of just how closed in this women's unit is. Food is brought from the men's side and the women pick it up. Not everyone may consider this enclosed space to be punishment enough, but these women surely do.
I try to make the best out of each day. But I don't think about tomorrow, I just live for today.
I grew up in the dark side of the world. I call it dark side of the world. I don't know the bright side, you know? That's all I want. It's to be normal, to fit in society so society can accept me as I am, you know, as a person. I am, but still a person.
Lock up!
Some women may never know a life other than this one. Others will eventually leave. What they learn here, they will take with them to our cities, our towns.
Jail was that holding pen. I mean, they herded me down the aisleway and I went into this pen and I just felt like I was out of place. This was not, you know, where I was supposed to be, and you know, I was afraid. Most there was fear, and just fear of the unknown.
To even visit Millhaven is to pass into another world.
Key control, open up the door, please.
Maximum security, a gateway to the federal prison system. This is one of the biggest assessment centers in the country. Neil Suter is 34 years old. Educated, an auto body mechanic. Never been to jail before. Now, from a provincial holding jail, he's here, just trying to figure out how to do the time and stay safe.
Have you got to know many of the guys around here?
I'm not like a social butterfly or anything like that. I pick and choose who I want to associate with.
How do you pick and choose?
You just spend a lot of time listening. You just gotta watch what you're doing, really.
There are prison rules and inmate rules. The first, you do your own time. Keep your nose out of other people's business. Don't ask questions about another con's crime or time. Especially in assessment. It can take up to 3 months. Everyone's watching you. One scrap, one wrong move, and Neil could blow it.
Here is where they determine where you go. If you have incidents on your record of violence or something like that, you know, stemming from fights or whatever the case, you know, arguments with the guards or whatever, I mean, all that goes on your record.
Should your behavior deteriorate, this can be revisited.
Neil is a low-risk offender. Still, his prison parole officer, Bonnie Clark, is trying to figure him out, wants to be sure. She'll recommend where he'll serve his time, the counseling he'll get. His prison fate is in her hands.
You know, I thought it was a property offense, and it being a property offense, it wasn't as serious as any other type of offense. You know.
Neil ran an auto body shop just outside London, Ontario, most of it legitimate business. But he also bought stolen vehicles, fixed them up, repainted them, changed them enough to resell them. In January, he pled guilty to 13 counts of possession of stolen property. Even so, he never thought he'd end up in jail.
January 22nd, plus 10 days. Dearest Carol, it's a struggle to force myself to do the daily things of one's existence as I combat frustration and depression. The longer I persevere in this hell, it seems the harder it gets.
Neil pours out his loneliness and fear in letters to his fiancée.
I let my hunger pains remind me that I'm still alive. This is not a dream, but I am alone, alone, alone. Except for you, my salvation from this void. I love you and always will. Sorry, Neil.
His family has never been more important to him. He worries about his 10-year-old daughter and 14-year-old stepdaughter.
I didn't want them to see this part of my life. You know, I didn't want them to look down on me. But I did want them to know what the consequences of doing something wrong is.
Neil's doing everything he can to make the best of this. He got himself a jailhouse job.
Can I get the movement list, please?
It gets him out of his cell, looks good on his record, helps with that minimum security classification.
we're cons, just like you are. Our job is to be liaison. We're to, between the inmates and the coppers.
Just a few weeks in, he's a unit clerk doing prison orientation.
Every night at 7:30 they do a stand-up count. The reason they do that now is they had a couple guys OD. They didn't know until the next morning. They were lying on their bed. They thought they were just sleeping, right? So every night now, 7:30, you got to stand up for a count.
It's oppressive routine, even for meals.
Tells me it's soup.
Yep.
The food here is very repetitive. It's the same schedule. Week in, week out, it's the same thing. Salt, pepper, and what I thought originally was mayonnaise. I grabbed a package of this, and turns out that it's condoms.
There aren't many left in there.
No.
Some people said to us, things like, you don't whistle, you don't sing, there's some words you don't use, you don't talk to the guards. Are there things like that you figured out that...
The whistling one's kind of interesting. When I was in the detention center, my cellmate, he'd been through the system many times. One day I was sitting in the cell, and I whistled, right? Just about jumped down my throat, right? His explanation was whistling is for the birds. The birds are free. We're not. You don't whistle.
It doesn't take long to decipher the inmate's code, but for a first-timer still learning the rules, uncertainty feeds fear.
What are you afraid of most?
I was afraid of my safety, like my life. I was afraid I might lose my life type thing. That sense is very real in here because you're dealing, especially in the assessment unit here, you're dealing with every walk of life criminal, right? These guys are from murderers to somebody like me.
These are some of the things that were here when I arrived. Basically, they were found in the cells or in the shops.
Yves Delorier is Millhaven's preventive security officer. For every weapon that ends up in his collection, he knows there are countless more.
What's this?
This is what we call, or the inmates refer to as a shiv. It's a brush handle. It's been melted so that a nail could be fastened to it.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so the inmate can have that sitting in his cup on top of his shelf, and unless you pull it out and look at it, you'd never know it was a weapon. Does it get used often? Probably more than we know.
Do I have one? I have my security blanket, and I usually wear it 95% of the time. And it's not a measure of anything.
All right.
But it could be, right? It's a pen. But it could be used, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neil just can't get caught with anything more than a pen. There's too much at risk. It would go on his prison record and would hurt his overall prison assessment.
Your personal emotional orientation, do you display anger, impulsive behavior?
They do psychological evaluations, they do educational grading, they do substance abuse testing, and they develop a correctional plan. They develop a plan to keep you out of this place.
The custody rating scale is used to assist the parole officer.
Just getting through each day is one day closer to getting out of here. Not out of jail yet, but out of this place, Millhaven. Bonnie Clark, his parole officer, has completed her investigation of his case.
Neil, to summarize, custody rating scale recommends minimum security. The security classification review recommends minimum security. And that's the recommendation that I will be taking to the Penn Placement Board within the next couple days.
Later, Steve.
Neil Suter's done what he set out to do, get out of Millhaven intact to serve his sentence in a minimum security prison.
See you later, Hollywood. Yep.
But this is what he'd only dreamed of.
Okay, Suter, being released on bail. Here's your fax here.
Bail. Just days after getting word he'd be transferred to minimum security, he's going home for a while.
Jane Crosby for End Control. We're on our way up with the offender.
He's appealing his sentence, and he'll be out until the appeal is heard in July.
It certainly feels like spring. It'd be easier coming back because I know what to expect now. The unknown factor is no longer unknown.
Ralph Ben-Murgy went to Warkworth Penitentiary in Eastern Ontario to find out how lifers do the time.
Breakfast, breakfast.
This is Warkworth, a medium security institution. In Max, you spend most of your time in lockup. Here, you can move around. 1 in 4 inmates is doing life. This is the story of 2 of those men.
I think about how avoidable the whole thing was. I think about his family and some of the people that we shared commonly as friends.
It was a drug deal gone bad that got Dave Morrison here. Morrison and another man went to meet 2 other guys on a lonely road in Burlington, Ontario. When it was over, one man lay dead, beaten and shot to death. The other was paralyzed by a bullet and left on the road in a pool of his own blood.
I'm sure there is no greater crime than the taking of a human life. I know how precious I find life, and I know that to take away something that is so precious would be, again, it is the worst crime.
Now, you didn't actually pull a trigger. You're on the other side of that, right?
Can't get into that, Ralph, I can't.
Morrison is in year 3 of his life sentence and is appealing his conviction.
I denied it, I hid it, I lied to everybody about it. It's unimaginable, you know, what you're capable of doing. I mean, anybody, you know, if put in that situation, if driven to that moment, that flash in time, you know, I think you can. It's hard to believe because you grow up or you think that you'd never be able to do something like that. But, you know, you are. You're capable of it.
It took Wade more than 10 years in prison to admit that he had in fact murdered his victim. At the age of 38, Wade's an old-timer in the lifers community at Warkworth. He's over the hump, as he says, in the 13th year of his life sentence. For Wade and Dave, those are their crimes. This is how they do their time.
I'm the senior clerk at the manufacturing site here.
There you go. Yeah, see, there's the stuff there.
We manufacture office furniture, a lot of custom cabinets. Lately, we're doing a big project for the government, kiosks, information kiosks that are going across the country. It's a fairly big operation.
Gone are the days of stamping license plates. Under the name of Corcan, inmates across the country produce an array of products and make the government $20 million a year. What the inmates make and what they do with it is another story.
I make $1 an hour like everybody else does, or it works out to about $6.90 a day for a 7-hour workday.
And then you got to go buy all your own stuff? What do you buy with that?
Tobacco, stamps, juice.
I just found out about continuity today.
Today is payday, so one of the stops this morning is the canteen.
Can I get 1 APO card and Farmer Plus baby powder, the big one?
No cash here, too much potential for trouble.
Next number, please.
They just have credits in an account controlled by a fingerprint scanner.
5X4A and 20.
The number one purchase is cigarettes.
Anything else?
That's it, guys.
Just about everybody here smokes. But it's about more than nicotine. The Hollywood version of jail, which is what we all grew up with, is that cigarettes are money. That if you want something, you say, I'll give you so many cigarettes for that. Is that one of the truer or non-truer expressions of a
cigarettes? Tobacco is the vehicle of commerce, I guess, in any institution.
Yeah. Having a smoke is a small pleasure. If there's some freedom, it's tempered. You don't work, you stay in your cell.
Count up, close your doors, stand up, count time.
Just before noon, another lockup. Everybody is counted.
15.
After the lockup, lunchtime. On the menu, submarine sandwiches. For most, one of the better meals. If you don't like it, go shop at the canteen.
Okay, so you're starting to see how it's all calculated.
Like the rest of us, you finish a hard day's work and you head home. Except here, they check to make sure you actually arrive. A quick check of the in-house cable to see what's for dinner.
Yeah, I'm going to skip the deep-fried fish and the roast potatoes.
Dave takes a pass on tonight's meal. He usually does. Time to improvise. The boys grab what they can. Onions and peppers from Dave's pal Terry. He grows them in the prison garden.
Needs salt getting there.
Their food, made their way.
All right, boys, we don't stand on tradition here. My hands are clean.
Dinner is served.
Well, we lack in table manners. We make up for in culinary skills, right?
After dinner, you've got choices. Back to your cell, out in the yard, or wreck up. Pump some iron, pass some time. But you know, there's people at home watching going, oh, that's nice, weightlifting, isn't that special? Right? Isn't he just having a nice time? There are people who just want you punished.
Okay. Well, I don't know what to tell you. I got sentenced to life, not death, life. I'm alive. I'm going to be alive until I die. If I'm alive here, or I'm alive out there, I'm still going to be doing the things that hopefully will make me a better or a more well-rounded person or a more complete person. Just happens that I'm doing them here.
Pretty much every night, Dave and Wade go to the Lifers Group office. They're on the executive. They got a baseball team, do charity work. We spent a night with them and a few other guys. We talked about doing life and how society sees them. But every lifer I talk to says I did this one really crazy thing and that's done.
That's probably true in a lot of cases, too.
Vast majority of it is true. That is the case. One instant in their lives, and that's it. There are very few guys who have an escalated criminal history that, you know, starting off with small-time robbery or rip-offs and leading into, you know, right up to the ultimate thing, murder, and then spending the rest of their life in prison.
That's what society doesn't understand because they're misinformed, is the life sentence includes your parole, which you are on for the rest of your life.
Nobody, I don't care who it is, can go through something like this and say that they weren't affected by it.
See you guys in the morning.
And, you know, be remorseful, whether they admit it or not. When they're alone with themselves, they can't understand it themselves. And it's a life-altering experience. You're not the same person the moment after it happens. And from then on, you either, you know, you can either become worse or become
but you
a better
could become
person.
worse, or you could decide, you know, that wasn't so bad.
Some people do. Some people do. And yeah.
Well, how are we supposed to know which one of you is the guy who doesn't think it was so bad? So when the door closes and the light's off, what goes on for you?
That's your time to reflect. Whether it's about what brought you here, whether it's about the loss of a wife or a girlfriend or a parent or anything else. I mean, this is where it happens. So, you know, I guess, well, I suppose that's what prison's all about. It's saying, here you go, here's your 8x10, here's a mattress and a blanket and a pillow, and
see ya.
We want to show you two more of our documentaries. Both of them deal with the most dangerous inmates in the federal system. First, Mark Kelly went to Laval, Quebec to report on biker gang members at the Leclerc Institution.
Their bikes are as brash as their reputation. They sell drugs. They kill with knives and bombs. Sometimes the target is rival gangs. Sometimes it's law enforcement officers. Sometimes their own people. And sometimes the Hells Angels are caught and convicted of their crimes.
The popular perception is once the bikers are behind bars, the problem is solved. Well, not if you work here. This is the LeClaire Institution, and these days it's the home of the Hells. Consider this. In the Hells hierarchy, the guys at the top of the gang, the baddest of the bad, they're known as the full patch, and they're a select few, only about 28 in the entire province of Quebec. 14 of them are right here. So are another 50 prospects, or junior members. Coupled with the gang's wealth and connections on the outside, it gives the Angels here the power to control the drug trade, intimidate guards, and strong-arm other inmates. And as we discovered, it also gives them the power to keep their critics silent.
Merci.
Denis Cloutier was brought in as warden here to take control of the growing biker population.
We cannot underestimate their influence, their power at times.
He called a meeting with gang leaders. His message was blunt.
This is not the territory of bikers. This is not the territory of a particular group of inmates. This is the territory of the correctional service, and we show that very clearly.
After Cloutier arrived at Leclerc, so did more Angels. Corrections Canada decided to put them under one roof in Quebec to try to contain what it admits is its top security problem. So how did you convince your staff that this institution was indeed safe?
I asked each and every one of them, each and every one employee here, there's no tolerance for any intimidation.
And intimidation can kill. 1997, 2 guards gunned down in broad daylight. One of the killers says the head of the Hells Angels in Quebec, Maurice Montboucher, ordered the killings to destabilize the justice system. Some guards complain the Angels can't be reformed, saying they have a corrupting influence on other inmates. Some inmates agree. No one would say that on camera.
They know they're staying here for the long haul.
Just the opposite. Inmate Daniel Letourneau says it's the bikers who are under pressure here.
You feel it boxed in, I'm sure of that. I'm not the biker, but you sense those things.
But you're almost making me then feel sorry for these guys.
In a way, we should, because you should see all the pressure. You read the newspaper every day, they talk about them every day. How would you feel? They'd be talking about you, and all the newspapers and everything, they're saying how bad you are, and you're in jail also.
For days, the Hells Angels refused to talk to us on camera. They wouldn't even allow us to show you their faces. Until Michel Sky Langlois agreed to talk. He's a founding member of the Hells Angels in Montreal, one of the few still alive. He's doing 5 years, charged with trying to smuggle and sell 170 kilos of cocaine. He's been jailed before for his role in the death of 5 gang members back in 1985. He set the ground rules for the interview. No questions about the Angels' activities outside these walls. He wanted to talk about life on the inside.
But I think we get special attention.
I ask him if that attention is deserved.
Well, we're no worse than anyone else, no better.
But prison security says they are a lot worse. A sniffer dog now checks for smuggled drugs after 3 Angels were accused of running a drug smuggling ring here.
We often hear the name Hells Angels coming out of the investigations, saying inmates are bringing in the drugs for us. But that's completely false. We go about our day, and we want to get out of here as quickly as possible. We don't make trouble. We do our time like we're supposed to.
But when they do cause trouble, Cloutier transfers them to a maximum security prison, his toughest weapon. Tough but temporary. Most end up back at Leclerc.
They got to follow the same rules as other inmates. They cannot have a bunker here in this institution, and they cannot have all the space.
But the guards union says maybe the bikers should have their own bunker, a prison of their own, to reduce the threats to inmates, officers, and the system itself.
There's the anti-gang law on the outside, and if we need special laws on the outside, then I think we could use them on the inside as well.
And as the power struggle continues, the fear, the intimidation, inmates like Daniel Letourneau watch and wait. So who's got the power here?
The warden.
Cloutier or the Hells?
He's got the power. If he's not happy with you, he's been transferring a few of them, so not only them, a few guys. So he's in charge right now.
Right now?
But, no, let's wait and see.
Sky Langlois expects he'll be out of jail in a year, maybe 2. He says time is on his side. That and the Angels' power of persuasion.
I think they'd have to learn to get to know them. If they knew them a little better, they'd be a lot less scared.
We're ready now to move to our next report. It's about guards, more formally called correctional officers. There are about 5,500 of them in the system, doing work that is often thankless and dangerous. Diana Swain went to get to know the guards at Stony Mountain Penitentiary near Winnipeg, a medium security institution that first opened in 1876.
I'm not saying I'm Mr. Perfect correctional officer. I can be an asshole.
There's guards that come here for their paychecks. There's guards that come here because they really do want to make a difference. And there's guards that come here to fuck with you.
I'll treat you the way you treat me. You've got to remember that. We tell them when to eat. We tell them when to go to bed. We tell them when to lock up. We tell them where to go. And that's not something that's easy for them. They are afraid. And if they aren't telling you that, they're lying.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
He begins his workday like anyone else.
It takes about 40 minutes for me to get from my home to this institution. You've got 40 minutes to think, to prepare yourself, and then you see the institution sitting there. You're wondering, okay, is this going to be my last day? Am I going to walk into something that is totally innocent and turns ugly? We found a shiv. What else did we find?
Hacksaw blade.
Hacksaw blade.
Break it off, attach it onto a stick. You want to get it.
You think about those things.
What greets Guillasson today is a full lockdown.
Tell them open 14!
Officers are searching every inmate, every cell. Some billiard balls have gone missing from the rec hall. A knife has been smuggled out of the kitchen, hidden somewhere by the inmates. Officers believe rival gangs are preparing for battle. Every crack in this aging institution is being checked.
Sometimes what they do is there's a hole, they'll fill it up with toothpaste, paint over it, and you would never know it was even there. So that's why you gotta check every nook and cranny just to make sure there's nothing, no little secret compartments.
The officers know anything they miss could just as easily be used against them.
And it was located up in the light fixture. They just slide it up underneath the light, and if they need it, they've got coat hangers and you just scoop it out quickly in a hurry. That's why these searches have to take place. Someone's gonna get hurt one day.
Lockdowns like this don't happen very often. The last one here was a year ago. But sometimes when you change the strict routine of this place, it can actually serve to heighten tensions. That's something the correctional officers have to be keenly aware of, because they're outnumbered by the inmates 10 to 1. In just a few hours, officers have collected a stash of homemade weapons. Metal, wood, and glass fashioned into shivs or shanks.
Sometimes you're surprised what you find. They're ingenious on what they come up with.
They're makeshift, but close at hand. The officers don't carry weapons. They don't want them stripped away by the inmates. The guard's arsenal is locked in the armory, broken out only for the most extreme confrontations.
My weapon is my wits, my brain, and how I go about it in different situations.
Just the day before our interview, Guillasson was threatened by an inmate hiding a sharpened toothbrush in his hand. How did you react?
I just took it away from him real quickly, and then I put him up against the wall and called for some handcuffs, and we cuffed him up. And you got to react. You've got to know what you're doing.
It was overwhelming at first, and my mom was devastated that I was gonna, get killed, and horrible things were gonna happen to me, and I'm a woman.
Kelly Boyle is a newcomer, just a year on the job.
Sometimes I go home very frustrated because it's not always easy to deal with every offender, and it's not always successful. Sometimes they'll get you to the point where you're just ready to blow, and it's hard to separate yourself from that at times. Other times it's very rewarding.
But a lot of it just standing around watching things.
And this man has stood guard over a lot of inmates. John Shaw has been a correctional officer for 28 years, a milestone unsurpassed at this prison.
I think of myself as probably the toughest screws that ever walked the floors of Stony Mountain.
This career correctional officer is convinced the public has no idea what he really does.
They watch a lot of American movies and they think we run around armed to the teeth with the sunglasses on, you know, that you only see one way, and we occasionally beat them up for something to do, but the general public, I think, has very little idea of what actually goes on inside.
Day 2 of the lockdown.
On the day shift, the lockdown and the searching continues.
Guards get updated at their morning briefing. The inmates remain locked in their cells, their normal prison freedoms suspended.
It can be stressful because a lot of tempers get flared, you know, so a lot of guys get angry.
They don't like it. Bottom line is they don't like it. And you know, sometimes you don't. It'd be like police coming into your house and tearing everything apart and saying, okay, put everything back and just move on.
Fucking stepping over my bed was fucking pigs. I could go fucking step on their bed, fuck.
You know, they're just showing off, you know. But, yeah, it seems like that. I mean, it's just their way of expressing their love for us, I think.
Shaw's heard it all before. And since he started, he's seen a big change in the relationship between guards and inmates.
If there was any problems with inmates and inmate and the staff went at it, well, they just sort of duked it out, and in the morning, the inmates would have a black eye and the staff would have a black eye, and that was the end of that.
And I wake up, my knife is gone.
Correctional officers will tell you their job has evolved. No longer simply the key holders, officers now play an active role in rehabilitation through counseling and one-on-one casework.
Holy, that is really good. They should all be given a chance. Everyone should be given a chance.
But prison life has evolved too, with new threats.
Wires, hooked onto a needle. Tattooing.
This tattoo needle may seem harmless, but it can transmit potentially fatal diseases from one inmate to another, or to an unsuspecting guard.
I felt something jab me. I looked down, I saw a little bit of blood, and I opened up the bag, and I saw a needle.
4 years ago, Guillaume's hand was punctured by a needle seized from an inmate's cell. It sent him on a year-long odyssey of prescription drugs, tests, and a gnawing fear he would contract HIV.
First month was hell. Thinking, am I going to infect my wife? Am I going to infect my kids?
The tests have always come back negative. And yet what was a terrifying experience is what Guillaume says motivates him to stay.
What if another fellow officer gets stabbed with a needle, and he goes through the same thing that I went through? Who's going to be there for him? Who's going to be able to help him out? If I'm able to give that back to somebody, then yeah, it's worth being here.
Being there can also mean protecting your fellow officer. Because when violence erupts here, it can be deadly. July 1984. Some inmates seized control, killing 2 guards by stabbing them with a pair of scissors during a botched hostage-taking. That night, John Shaw found himself with a shotgun in his hands, watching the life drain from a fellow officer.
A trail of blood across the floor, about 1.5 feet wide and about 1/4 inch thick.
Fire!
History has proved the need for the shooting range. Every officer practices the skill of deadly force and hopes they'll never have to use it.
Pray that we don't have to go through it. Understanding that what comes after it is pretty traumatic, so I wouldn't want to go through it.
You've been threatened. You've been stuck with a needle. You've had to be tested for HIV. That's a pretty high price to pay for a job.
Not really. There is that underlying fear that something could happen. You've got to be able to put that behind you. If you don't put that behind you, I don't know how long you'll last.
It's a well-known fact that the inmates only let us run it as long as they want us to, which is true. They can take it any time if they were organised, but they can't get out. They can't get over the walls.
So anything good happen at work today?
Still in lockdown. Sometimes I'll admit to you, I do take it home. I mean, something I can't just leave that behind. I mean, if an incident happened here and I have to talk to somebody, who better to listen to me than my wife?
I always have people asking me the same question, like, aren't you afraid? And I say yes, but I mean, you deal with it, you learn to deal with it.
You take the good and you take the bad and you put it all together and you prepare yourself. That's what you do.
The so-called club feds. These are minimum security facilities that house inmates who are not considered risks to escape or likely to harm prison staff or other inmates. To some outsiders, it looks as if criminals are serving their sentences in rather cushy surroundings. The punishment is not nearly harsh enough, they say. Wendy Mesley takes us inside one of these minimum prisons. It's Westmoreland in New Brunswick.
Lots of it there, boys, if you want some.
How's meatloaf, Mike?
Good.
Mike Newman lives in a house with 5 other inmates.
Roy get home?
No, Roy's not home yet.
No?
Jim's in here for murdering his wife. Paul's in for assault and having a restricted weapon. Sandy's in for impaired driving. And Mike, well, the last time they got him was during a break-in.
How's meatloaf, Jim?
I think she's bringing in one of the... Well, of course, we set down rules and regulations amongst ourselves in reference to chores, different chores that we have to do throughout the household and keeping this household up. And we all agreed to doing that, and we try to get along with each other as best as possible, and some of us do become friends.
But not everybody?
Or acquaintances. Not everybody. What, they call count already, did they? We gotta go. Oh, man, we gotta get up there.
It's 4:45. Time for a head count.
Hello, David. How are you? Not bad, buddy. Yourself?
They're all in minimum, either because they're no longer considered a threat to public safety, or their crimes were minor to start with. In Mike's case, he's worked his way down from maximum.
Well, she's clear. I gotta do a bit of laundry, too.
So this is home. When most people think of prisons, they think of guard towers and high walls. Well, here at Westmoreland, there are no fences, no barbed wire. There are not even bars on the windows.
Hi, ladies. Number 4.
Wednesday is grocery day at the small supermarket on prison grounds. Each house gets a credit of $4.10 per inmate per day, a budget of about $170 a week to buy food for the house. The inmates have to agree on the list and make sure the supplies last the week. If they run out, the inmates go without. After years of being fed, clothed, told what to do and when, here the inmates have responsibilities: doing laundry, cooking, managing a budget.
I was approximately 10 years old when I entered the system.
For what?
Well, at that point in time, I had set fire to my family home.
The warden at one prison once described Mike as one of the most dangerous men to ever pass through the gates of a maximum security prison. He was the leader of some of the toughest gangs in some of the country's meanest prisons. Mike never killed anyone, but he was violent, very violent. This is Mike in 1989, when he was declared a dangerous offender, an extreme classification. He'd been charged with assault again after a brawl in this bar where he slashed a woman's face with a broken beer bottle. Mike says he's working on coming to terms with his violent behavior, something he blames on a childhood without many breaks. Sexually abused by a neighbor when he was just 6, and again at age 10 in reform school.
I turned to alcohol at a very early age in my life, too, at the age of 10.
10?
About 10 years old. And I became an alcoholic in that over the years. When I drank, it just shut down all my reasoning and thinking, and all that stuff that I was suppressing just seemed to come up at that point in time in my life. And when it did come up, it was violent. You know, there was a lot of anger and a lot of bitterness and hatred there.
Dangerous offender status is like a life sentence in that Mike's prison term is indefinite. Basically, he's here until they decide he can go, and even then, he'll be on parole for the rest of his life.
But when I got the indefinite sentence, I said to myself, well, the system's got me now. I always had a fear about dying in prison. I didn't want to die in prison. Mario, you got a few minutes?
Certainly, Mr. Newman. How you doing?
So Mike, the notorious ringleader, quit running the gangs in prison and began trying to change.
I haven't raised my hands to another human being in the last 12 years of my life. And I feel good about that.
Maximum sentence for that.
When Mike was released on parole in 1996, his story, a dangerous offender, released from jail and trying to rehabilitate himself, was documented by CBC News. He found God, kicked the booze, was reunited with his wife of 18 years, became a chaplain and worked with inmates, spoke at schools. But 3 years later, a personal crisis, he started drinking again, got into debt, and got nabbed during an attempted break-in. He did some time in medium security, but was later judged low risk to public safety and to escape, and ended up back in Westmoreland.
What would happen now? Are you ready?
I believe I'm ready. I know how to handle stressful situations now. I can stop and I can think about it and try to work it through now.
Mike now spends his days working in a furniture plant in Moncton.
So whenever we got one like that that drops, we can always screw it.
This might be one of the first ones way back.
Yeah. Well, it gets me away from the madness. It gets me away from the loneliness that I feel, that I sense when I'm in prison.
Coming home, I just look at the cars and I'm driving by and I think about my freedom, I wish it was me in that car that was driving instead of Buddy, that type of thing.
Like other inmates, Mike has the nights to himself.
Father, this night now, we just thank you for the privilege of...
He spends time with the volunteers who drop by from Christian groups. Inmates can also receive visitors at the administration building. Some are occasionally allowed visits by their wives in a private setting. In other words, they have freedom to a point. Mike Corbett is the new warden.
Put together so
inmates know if they go outside those bounds or if they do other things that they're not supposed to do, they don't stay here. In fact, they transfer to higher security again.
But they don't always follow the rules. Until recently, inmates were known to sneak into town to buy booze. Because remember, there's no walls to stop them.
I think, why are they there?
Marlene Kelly can see the prison from the front steps of her house in the village of Dorchester.
Breaking up. Another.
She has an 8-year-old child and is expecting her second very soon. And she's afraid. She grew up here, but she thinks the prison population has become larger and more dangerous.
I mean, if you put your child out to play in the front yard, you hope that one's not going to walk along and, say, come here.
There's probably nothing I can say to alleviate her fear.
Corbett says there have been 2 escapes in the last 12 months, but they were both recaptured. And he says it's been more than 10 years since any escapee from Westmoreland has harmed anyone.
Does that make me feel better? No. Just because, it's like, well, I can't guarantee you that they're not going to hurt anybody. But, in the last 10 years they haven't. Well, that's not a guarantee.
But public safety isn't the only issue. Some locals feel the inmates have it too soft.
5 minutes to count and lock up.
You're locked in at night, your alarms go on the door and that at night time. It really is a prison. It's a prison to me. It's a very lonely place to be.
It doesn't matter how nice the setting is. You could house 50 people at the Sheraton or the Hilton. We keep them there for 20 or 30 years and restrict where they go, you're still incarcerated.
And Mike says his chances are a lot better being released from here.
Well, being released from a maximum security institution back into society, it's a culture shock. It's a culture shock, and you really don't know how to act. And for me, over the years, being released from a maximum was always head for the bar. because I didn't know how to deal with it.
What the statistics show is that 96% of our inmates from this institution succeed on conditional release, on day parole, or on full parole. I can absolutely guarantee if you leave them in medium or leave them in maximum and say just stay there until your sentence is over, the failure rate would be, I believe, I'm positive, would be much, much higher.
Just recently, Mike was turned down for parole. He'll get another chance to plead his case for freedom to the parole board in 2 years.
I was just watching these people drive by and just wish that I had my freedom myself. Won't be long though. Hopefully.